Good evening, everybody. We had no closed session tonight, so I'll call the July 14th regular session meeting to order at 6:06. David, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yeah, thanks. But I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Good evening. Would you do a roll call for us, please?
Sure. Councilmember Mendoza. Here. Ackerman.
Here.
And Councilmember Fatula.
Here.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, sorry, I'm running a minute late.
Perfect. Mayor Pro Tem Burris. Here. And Mayor Lohman.
Here. And can I get a motion to approve and order? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, move on to agency reports. Sergeant Griffiths isn't with us tonight, so we'll move on to the Placer County Fire Report. Chiefs.
Good evening, council. Ryan Egan is, we shipped him off to Yuba County to work some battalion coverage, so I'll be filling in for him tonight. So he wishes he could be here. So to get started, July 3rd, the July 3rd celebration went off without a hitch. It was a big success. I'd like to thank the council for allowing the volunteers to be the Grand Marshal in the parade. We didn't have any significant incidents during the event, which was good. And I think the Sheriff's Department was about the same, but Kevin Griffiths is also, I don't see, he was supposed to be ahead of me. He's in Florida on vacation. So talking to him, it doesn't sound like they had much of anything significant during the event, which was good.
Is his mic on? Okay.
Transition process. So where are we at in that transition process? We've gotten a team of individuals together, and there's probably, with the county employees and then the Placer County Fire Department and CAL FIRE employees, there's probably about a dozen of us. And we're working on a plan to make it happen within the 60 days. The goal is to have it under those 60 days because, as you well know, the insurance is a very important thing. And some of the things we're working on next week, company 36 applications will be issued. We're working on the insurance, PPE, personal protective equipment, and uniforms are being scheduled for the volunteers. Also, the Placer County Fire Department mechanic will be up here tomorrow to do 90-day inspections on the equipment to get that started. And then the goal after that is to get that equipment down to our headquarters station, Station 10, where our shop is, the Placer County shop, and get that equipment evaluated even more, find out where it is, what it needs. And that'll be in the next couple of weeks to get that equipment in down to Station 10 shop. Also, the Grass Valley ECC is updating the response plans for the city of Colfax and adding in the mutual threat zone agreement that we have. And then the last thing, and then our training files are being converted over to a training solution, our training program that the volunteers will be using. It'll get everybody on the same blanket of training. So, and then from DC Egan, Battalion Chief Egan specifically, he's in communication with UP Railroad on the fuels reduction in the selected areas of the city, which pose a direct threat to the city. So he's working on that. And then he's also doing some focused outreach to the property owners with vacant lots in the city that have open spaces or are on open spaces of developed properties that are not in compliance with the hazardous vegetation ordinance. So he is pushing forward with that. So let's talk about some the calls that we've had in the last month. So this is, I took this back to June 15th to today. And inside the city of Colfax, there were 38 medicals, 1 passenger vehicle fire, 2 vegetation fires for a total of a third of an acre. 1 gas hazard, 4 vehicle accidents, and 7 public assists for a total of about 53 calls. In the Placer County Fire Department jurisdiction, there were 727 calls. Of those calls, there were 466 medicals, 11 medical rescues, 3 water rescues, 44 vehicle accidents, 5 vehicle accidents with extrication. So hence the reason that we put the new extrication equipment in station 10, 30, and 33. That's we're putting that to good use. 24 vegetation fires in that Placer County Fire Department jurisdiction for a total of 44 acres. 5 residential structure fires, 1 commercial structure fire, and 8 gas hazards. And there's also some assorted public assists in there that add up to make that total again of 466 calls. So in Placer County Fire Department and Cal Fire, our unit, all our county fire stations are currently staffed. I know that's been a big question. You guys are sending engines out to these fires. Do we still have staffing? Yes, we do. They're still fully staffed. We're also, next week, we'll have a Type 2 helicopter coming to Auburn. It's on a 90-day contract for a total of 3 years. It's funded for 3 years. That 90-day contract can be extended after the 90 days. We also have a Type 1 helicopter up at the Grass Valley Air Attack Base in addition to our regular aircraft that we have up there. And then going to the totals in the state from January 1st to July 11th. In 2020, we had 4,277 fires, burned a total of 38,889 acres. In 2021, we've had 4,991 fires. So a little bit more, about 800-ish fires more this year than last year. The kicker is last year, remember, we had 38,889 acres. This year, we're at 142,477 acres. So quite a jump there. Going to our incident summary for the state fires that we have currently occurring throughout the state. The Dixie Vegetation fire is up in Plumas County. This is above the Crested Dam in the Feather River Canyon. And it is, as of this morning, it was 100 acres of timber, 0% contained. I believe that the totals on that tonight are going to show well over 1,000 acres. The river fire in Madera County, and that one is 9,500 acres. It's brush and oak woodland, 21% contained. And then on the federal instance, we have the Dexter fires down in Mono County. It's 1,679 acres, brush and timber, 0% contained. And then the Beckworth complex, that's been the big topic on the news lately. That one is being reported as 95,000 acres. And I don't have it's the estimates of containment that they're showing on the website are 71%, but I'm not sure that's all that accurate. But 95,000 acres is big. That's the fire that burned through the town of Doyle. And if there's no questions, end of report. Thank you.
Eugene.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right. That's, I don't see any other agencies here tonight. Tim, would you like to give the chamber report?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's okay, I'm not sure.
No, absolutely.
Still doing that or not, but
Should have a
since I'm
spot
here. Tim Ryan, Colfax Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. So just want to let you know what's going on over at the chamber. We are open. The chamber and the museum are now open. We're open Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 9 until 2. And the chamber office is always open. We're always taking calls and emails. So any businesses that need to get in touch with us, we are open. We do have our emails going out, our e-blast weekly. So that's still running continuously. We had our first coffee and conversation last week, and we want to thank Sean and also Wes and Trinity for being there. It was a start to our coffee and conversations that we will be having weekly. And hopefully our business members can come and join us. They start at 8 o'clock in the morning, run for about an hour, and it is at the train depot. Mixers. We had a mixer at Railhead, and that one turned out really well. We had a good attendance. along with the locals that were already there. So it made it kind of interesting. And we're going to have our next mixer in August, and that's going to be with Creative Corners and possibly Scoops that are going to co-chair that. So that should be a lot of fun. Connie's pretty excited about having Foxy finish up the painting. Where's Foxy? I saw her here earlier. On the back of her building. So we're going to include that with the mixer. Also, we are continuing with our monthly board meetings, and just want to thank Trinity for showing up at our last one. It's good to have somebody there from the city and just give a little overview of what's going on and any questions that we might have. So other than that, that's about it. We're going and moving forward. And the buses and trains are all running, and we're getting a lot of good passengers jumping on the train again, heading up to Truckee and Reno. So it's worked out really well. So thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to item 4 presentations. Item 4A, the presentation from Placer County Mosquito and Vector Control District update. Bill?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Lovato. I'm the Public Information Officer at Placer Mosquito. Thanks for having us tonight. We weren't here last year, as you know, because of COVID. So we're here and we're going to kind of do a general update to start, and then Joel will talk a little bit about what we're seeing this season. So we also normally come out in the spring, and we've kind of pushed that back this year to give you kind of a better update of what's going on now since we're in mosquito season. So if you're wondering where we've been, that's where. So who we are, we're an independent non-enterprise special district in Northern California. We're governed by California mosquito and vector control law, and we have a 7-member board of trustees, which one of our trustees, Will Stockwin, is here tonight, and he represents the city of Colfax on our board. We have 22 full-time staff, and we hire annual seasonal employees. I don't know. Thank you. So our mission is to effectively and efficiently manage the risks from vectors and vector-borne disease in order to protect public health and quality of life in Placer County. Those are just reminders of what we do and who we are. This is a map of our service area, which is the entire Placer County area, and it has the different vectors and vector-borne diseases we see throughout the county. So in West Placer, you see we deal with mosquitoes and then West Nile virus, which we're really in West Nile virus season right now. In Mid Placer, where you guys are, we're really dealing with mosquitoes, ticks, and Lyme disease. And then in East Placer, a little bit further up the hill, we're dealing with yellow jackets and rodents. And the California Department of Public Health really handles rodents more. We do advice at times, but we don't do rodent control, but we do yellow jacket control. So a little bit more about what we do. Those are some pictures of our staff at work, but everything we do is underneath integrated vector management, which is a decision-making process. And then the activities that fall within that are vector and disease surveillance, chemical control, biological and physical control, community outreach, which is what I oversee, technology and innovation like our drone program, and then applied research. So we have ongoing research projects year round where we're trying to make our activities more efficient and effective. So in 2020, which I know this is like a long time ago, we did 13 drone applications to larval mosquitoes, which is really exciting for our drone program. So it's continuing to grow. So that was a big accomplishment on our behalf last year. We hired 4 seasonal staff members, and we currently have 4 seasonal staff members this season again. We had 58 positive West Nile virus mosquito samples. So that was at the end of the season last year. We're at 4 positive mosquito samples for West Nile virus right now. And Joel will talk a little bit more about that in a second. We did 57 aerial and ground-based larvicide and adulticide treatments. And then we did 92 Good Neighbor Project service requests looking for invasive Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. So in 2019, that's when we initially detected invasive Aedes aegypti mosquitoes in our county. We did not find them in 2020, although a lot of our surrounding counties had their initial detections. So we're anticipating we might find them this summer, but as of right now, we haven't. We're looking for them. We don't know where they are, but we're going to do our best to try to find them and then eradicate them if we do. A few things we did during 2020 when we weren't out making community presentations. We were still working on our community-wide surveillance. We still did service requests as much as we could, but we actually updated our website. So this was a big overhaul from a website that had been in existence for 10 years. So our new site makes it just more easy for people to submit service requests and get important information about our district. We also took our school outreach program, which we've been presenting to schools throughout the county with an in-person assembly for the past almost 10 years. So we actually took our assembly program and made it digital, and now we have episodes with some stars, Webster and Wanda, that talk about important vector and vector-borne disease information for kids. And then we also took more complicated issues that we deal with and created them into whiteboard style videos to break down complicated information and try to get people more educated on the different types of mosquitoes, the different types of vector-borne diseases we deal with. So we have kind of a library of information now to help explain this information better to the public. So we created this PowerPoint slide because we get calls about all sorts of things every day. But this kind of breaks down the different agencies and who to call for specific issues you might be dealing with in the county. So for us, we deal with the surveillance and control of mosquitoes, ticks, and yellow jackets. Placer County Animal Services is who you'd call for lost dogs, dead animals, and then nuisance wildlife. Placer County Public Health is who you contact for communicable diseases in humans. And then private pest control, that's your spiders, cockroaches, and then rodents, and anything inside your home. So for example, we get a lot of calls about paper wasps. They look a lot like yellow jackets, but we don't handle paper wasps, we handle yellow jackets, and they're usually in the ground and not in the eaves under your house. So anyways, that's just kind of a different slide to explain more of what we do. Joel's going to talk a little bit more about vector-borne disease prevention, but I do want to mention that we are currently doing treatments throughout the county, really down the hill, Lincoln and West Roseville and West Placer County for aerial adulticiding and ground-based. So if you want to sign up to receive those updates, you can on our website. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks for having us back. So basically what we're dealing with on an annual basis is trying to identify public health risk and also nuisance risk to people from vectors. So Megan did a nice job of introducing that. Obviously mosquitoes, ticks, and yellow jackets are our primary organisms. So we really rely on good scientific knowledge about what's going on. We track the habits of about 30 different species of mosquitoes, a handful of species of different ticks, about 5 different species of yellow jackets. And so our staff needs to know exactly the timing, the needs of all of those things so we can do the best that we can to prevent people from being harmed or inconvenienced by them. What we need from the public is really to have an awareness that we exist. And especially up in this area, and Megan made a really good point about paper wasps versus yellow jackets. If folks could do a little bit of research on our website and figure out which is which, that's really helpful. And the more information we have about the problem, the better we can approach it and try to resolve it for them. Same with rodents up here. Rodents on the outsides of in the wild, it's generally not a big deal. It does become a big deal typically higher in elevation from here with plague and hantavirus. And like Megan said, that's more the realm of California Department of Public Health, although there's a lot of that type of activity in Placer County in some years. So we do assist the state in order for extra manpower to go and investigate those and do surveillance. And, we put on the moon suits and all the rest to help them out, to basically help our public here. That hasn't really happened this year. We get a lot of calls about squirrels in my walls and, raccoons in your attic and bats and things like that. We're happy to talk to you about those, and we probably know a little bit, but those are not things that we can come out and handle for you. Those are going to be either animal services or call a private pest control company. So That's kind of in Colfax, you're kind of in between. You're high enough to be generally out of the West Nile mosquitoes. You get mosquitoes during other times of the year, which I'll talk about here in a second. But then yellow jackets, and you're kind of on the low end of like plague and haunted too. So you're in a really good spot. I really like coming to Colfax because you're right in between all the really bad things, but there's enough overlap that we can still help you out if you need it. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the question everyone asks, and it's taken me 10 years to just come out and give you the answer before it's asked. So what's mosquitoes look like this year? So it's not an easy question to answer. This year, obviously, we know we're in pretty severe drought conditions, and the mosquitoes are basically acting weird. On the top graph on the far right, that's this year. The red line that seems to be disconnected to that green, the greens is the projected 3-year average. That's what it's supposed to do. But they didn't do what they were supposed to do this year. Because of our high temperatures and drought conditions, we saw a very early spike in West Nile carrying mosquitoes and Western placer. And what we've seen in previous drought conditions, like in 2018, which is on the far left upper graph up there, is we saw a huge spike in mosquitoes, and with it on the bottom graph is the West Nile positive mosquito sample. So we had a lot of West Nile, a lot of mosquitoes and a lot of West Nile during drought conditions. Why is that? It's because mosquitoes and the birds that carry the West Nile are all congregating around rare, sparse water, right? There's not a lot of water out there. They're not all over the place. They're all in one place, so you get more disease transmission. 2019 and 2020 were kind of our normal pattern. And then this year we've had not that much West Nile yet, but we've had this great big spike in mosquitoes. So I don't know what's going to happen. It could be bad. I thought today was going to be a whole bunch of West Nile. We got away from that, or we didn't see that yet. So we'll see next week. We set about 80 traps weekly throughout the county that my technicians set Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and then they pick up Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. And then we test, we bring back, they count all of them, they identify all of them, we test them for virus, and then we make our control decisions based on those data. And we have about a 24-hour turnaround, which is probably the best in the country as far as I know, not to brag, but we're pretty good at it. Up in Colfax, again, we have never found West Nile up here, although we are finding more and more West Nile mosquitoes capable of carrying West Nile going up the hill. We actually are finding them in Tahoe as well. Very small numbers, but we've seen that trend over many years. So I won't say that we'll never find West Nile up here, but for right now, you're in good shape. The times that you have a lot of mosquitoes is in the springtime and maybe sometimes in the fall, depending. And it kind of depends on snow. You have two main species. You have tree hole mosquitoes and snowmelt mosquitoes, a little bit higher. Tree hole's a little lower, snowmelt's a little higher. And this year was pretty bad. I don't know if that people agree with me. There was a big period of time where you had a ton of mosquitoes. They were really annoying, and then they disappeared pretty much like in a couple of weeks. Those are mosquitoes that like to hang out in rot holes in trees. They lay their eggs when it's moist, and then those eggs sit like weed seeds for maybe several years, and some of them will hatch every time it's drained down and flooded again. So depending on the winter, how much water there is, when they drain and reflood, you get this batch of mosquitoes. They don't carry disease, although they're really aggressive towards people. So we do our best to come in, but usually when someone calls and says there's a ton of mosquitoes, it's kind of too late, because by the time we're up here to figure out what's going on, they're done. So they come out really, really quick. What we do is try to find areas that have a lot of this the previous year, and we'll come and preventatively put either larvicides in the tree holes, or you can fill the tree holes with sand or other material to keep the water from fluctuating, and that keeps them from emerging. So that's primarily on the mosquito area, what you've got here in Colfax. Ticks are probably your biggest vector-borne disease potential issue. We just gave a talk to the Tevis horse race folks a couple of weeks ago over in Forest Hill. And what I was telling them is our Lyme disease carrying ticks, the Ixodes pacificus, are common kind of in that mid-placer area. Somewhere around Colfax, they kind of stop. And we don't see very many more above that. Like Truckee, there aren't any. And we've looked really hard. Auburn, there's a ton. And somewhere in between here, there isn't. So for this area, I would just recommend if you're out in, brushy trails, off trail type environments, be aware of ticks, do tick checks, wear repellents. The ticks that are problematic this time of year are the nymphs, and they are the size of somewhere between a poppy seed and a sesame seed. So they're super tiny. And the reason they are the most dangerous is because you can't find them. In the fall and spring, when there's a big old, looks like a raisin, right, hanging off of you, you're probably going to find it and get rid of it. So it's those little tiny ones. Lyme disease takes about 24 hours to transmit from a tick. So you have a little bit of time, but you don't have a ton of time. So again, nothing to panic about or worry about or not go outside about. But it's something to be aware of, and just, take good precautions and, check yourself, pick off anything. And if you have any questions, give us a call, check out our website. There's a lot of information about the repellents and how to remove ticks and all of that sort of thing. All right. And if there are no questions, that's all we have tonight. All right. Questions?
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Do we have a public question? Did you have a question, ma'am?
I can ask you.
Okay.
I am leaving.
Yellow jackets are in the ground.
Yeah, so yellow jackets are kind of wasp, and they are most commonly found in the ground, but they will be up in trees. They make like a nest that looks like a basket or like a ball of material. The little ones that hang from one little stalk under your eaves, those are typically paper wasps. And those are, they'll sting if you bug them, but they don't have that swarming behavior that we're concerned with yellow jackets. So yellow jackets, if you disturb them, one will sting you. It will secrete a pheromone, and then it's just like the cartoons, right? And the big old ball of bees running after you. So that's what we don't want. So again, up in these parts where there's a lot of wild area, I mean, that's kind of where they live. We kind of pick and choose. If there's a nest right under your, front steps or something, certainly we can come out and remove it, but we're not chasing them off into the woods. Yeah. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And that's very true. The traps are great this time of year because the queens have already come out and their workers are coming now. So that's what you're seeing in those, if you can get rid of them. Basically, in terms of spraying stuff in there, you can do that, but be careful because you can cause them to come out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When it's hotter,
yeah. Yep. Yeah. And in terms of getting rid of the nest, we do something very similar, only our folks have bee suits. And the nest can have multiple entrances. So you can blast it on one side and they all come out of the back door. And then, so anyway, in those sorts of situations, just be careful. We're well equipped to handle that. So if you feel like you need it, give us a call and we can send someone up with a bee suit on. All right, great. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. That's the only presentation we had tonight. We'll move on to item 5, our public hearing. Mick, you want to make a presentation?
well, either one. This is relatively routine, Mr. Mayor. At the last meeting, the city council introduced this ordinance by title only, waived the first reading, third over until tonight for a public hearing if possible. So process staff is looking for is for the mayor to open the public hearing, take public testimony. Once the public testimony is concluded, to close the public hearing, take whatever action you propose to take.
All right. Thank you. Then I will open the public hearing. We don't have any presentations for this hearing, so is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this item? No? Okay. Do we have any online comments? Nothing? Okay, then I will close the public hearing. And turn it over to council for comments. Marnie?
I don't have any comments, just, glad that we're moving forward. That's all I got.
David?
No comments at this time?
Nope.
Yeah, no comments.
Kenny?
No comments at this time.
All right, I have no comments. All right, then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the amendments to Kovacs Municipal Code Chapter 2.28, the fire permit,
That would be the second reading.
and waive the second reading.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second. All right, roll call.
Councilmember Mendoza. Ackerman.
Aye.
Fatula.
Aye.
Burris. Aye. And Mayor Loman.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to item 6, the consent calendar. All items are routine in nature and can be approved by a blanket motion. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Brings us to item 7, public comment. Any members who wish to speak on items that are not on the agenda? This time, we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll help you with that with the timer. Does anybody have any public comment? Tim?
Tim Ryan, 300 South Main Street. And I just want to thank the volunteer fire department, Cal Fire, and it was Placer Hills. We had another fire just across the street from our house, which I believe is on Union Pacific property. But this is the second one in 18 months or something like that. But Sean, you and Roger were there that I saw first on the scene, so definitely appreciate that. And just so thankful for you guys and keeping everything going. You guys have a great staff and a great crew, and also the sheriff department was there, so want to thank everybody there.
Okay. Mike, please. If you could just give your name.
Okay, I'm Diane Green, and I'm a pain in your butt. But I'm going to come here and I'm going to continue to express how I feel about the passing of the marijuana grow. And I know about it because in the 60s I used to sell it and smoke it and use it. And I saw how well it worked. I know how it works. And then music business, I know how it works. I know how it affects families. I know it affects people. I know from looking into the research in the brain scans, how it affects your brain and your memory. And then I became a teacher and I've been in the school for 25 years. And the kids want to go to the bathroom and they go to the bathroom and then they pull up, the janitors told me this, they pull up the weed from in the garbage and they smoke it and then they come back to the class. And the more available it is, the thing is they get it. I used to try to get it in alcohol, whatever I could when I was young. And I needed a good example. I needed standards and morals. And I quit when I had my kids. I turned my life around. A lot of people haven't. And I know marijuana is part of it. It's addictive. It's hard. It leads to other things. It interferes in family life. And what scares me is I know you've put your laws and your safety laws, but those will change within a year or two. I already know that they bought this land, 2 years ago? They must have known that they could get in here. And I'm sad that this passed and that we don't, 2 miles from an elementary school. I worked with the pop officers down in Antelope. And because they were allowed to grow some plants, one guy had his whole backyard full of marijuana 2 blocks from the elementary school. And everybody in the neighborhood was not liking it, but they allowed it. And until I did something, and the pop officers did something, and they were so grateful. But nobody stands up, and this is what happens. You'll have people in the city that you can't get to or won't stand up, and then it takes over. So I'm just saying that I know in the future that probably will be sold here, like alcohol. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about these kids at high school and the availability. I know the crime. I've studied that. There is crime. And I don't know whether we can get the water for all this. I know Placer passed it, but I don't know how they did. So anyway, I'm going to be here
What was your
in
name?
your face.
What was your name?
Diane Green. Diane
Diane.
Green. And I love you guys, and I appreciate you. And the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Oh, ma'am.
My name's Lori Davis, and I learn by story, so I'm going to give you a story. There is a movie called The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But it's the story of a gentleman who moves in the house next door to a concentration camp that he's running. Him and his wife have 1 little boy. They had strict regulations for that boy not to go outside. They had a high fence all the way around their house, except for the back of it. It was more like a metal fence. So he could kind of see what was going on. And even though he wasn't allowed outside, he still snuck outside. He made friends with a little Jewish boy. And make a long story short, one day he went out and he wanted to go in the camp. And so the boy brought him some striped pajamas, just like everyone else was wearing them. Well, his father came home, was looking for the boy, and all of a sudden panic struck. They ran outside, they found where they had cut through the fence, and the little boy had gone over, and they were firing up the furnaces, and his little boy went in. The reason I tell this story is nobody cares until it gets personal. And even though this may pass, we're probably not going to see a huge effect in the next 2, 3, maybe even 5 years. But in 10 and 20 years, when it's your kids and your grandkids, we're going to see a difference, because like begets like, and like Diane said, it's not just going to be marijuana, it's going to be the heroin, and the other drugs are going to come with it. And Colfax, to my chagrin, I hope, can at least do something about it so we can keep our good town here. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comment? Sir? Yeah, I think anybody else standing up? Go ahead. Just, keep it to 3 minutes.
I go by Bobby Caps. It's a stage name. I work in the movie business. I've been coming here for 52 years partying in this town, and I owe this town a lot for all the good times I've enjoyed being here with the citizens. I want to thank you for having me and the folks that may be watching on Zoom. I don't want 1 cent from this city for what I'm about to propose. I want to shoot a full-length dramatic comedy right here in downtown Colfax, and I want to bring the profits into this town for the city and its citizens. When I first started this, we had the intentions of getting rich and getting famous and stuff. And when I first tried it, we had problems with actors, and it was done independently. We had problems, and then I broke my back at Sierra College, and I could no longer walk correctly, and it took me a long time to get over this. What we're about to propose is this movie will be done professionally with all Hollywood production people, professionals. It is an independent film, but it will be done with professionals. They'll be insured, everything done just like Hollywood would do it, and we're going to use payroll companies. The difference is we're going to invite the city of Colfax, its residents, to work on the movies, like production assistants, give them jobs, put some money in your pockets. Hypothetically, movies, the investment usually is won back in the first weekend in the theaters. We're going to buy out the distribution and send it worldwide. So anybody in the world is going to see Colfax, California. Hypothetically, if we make $11 million, I will turn over $10 million to this city. My wife and I, we're old now. I'm hurt really bad. For the most of it, we can't enjoy a big lump of money. And the best thing to do, it's not the Republican thing. It's not the Democratic thing. It's the right thing. People are hurting because of the pandemic and stuff. I have approached lots of Hollywood people. We had Penny Marshall interested in coming here and direct. As you know, she passed away. We had Dawn Wells from Gilligan's Island willing to come and do a cameo. She passed away. We have Ruth Buzzy still interested, and John Travolta. Okay, John has made movies in the area. He knows the thing. I've been communicating with him. I'm also big on autism and Down syndrome. For children, we do things for John. We're trying to raise money for his charitable organization. 2 days ago was the anniversary of Kelly Preston's death. So we're doing stuff, and I'd like to sell T-shirts in this town. Please let me give this to you. I've got the okay by the Department of Justice to collect donations for what I'm trying to do is entice John to make him come here. He owns his own production company. Like I said, this is going to be, this will be professionally done from beginning to end. There will be medics, and we want to put in barbecues and stuff. We want to have a wrap party for the town in the end. We'll clean up everything on a daily basis. We'll clean this town before we leave because we know this place is going to fill up with tourists. They want to see the stars. We will be using stars. So we'll have to clean up all the mess that people like to throw McDonald's cups on the ground all over town. If some of your citizens have or crafts, like they make quilts or they do chainsaw carvings or they're wrought iron specialists, we'll let them sell in town. Put money in your pockets. I want to make sure that you can catch up on your house payments, put new clothes on your kids, so let's get them back in school, pay for food, get insurance for your vehicles. And that gas is right now, it'll probably eat up $10 million at the cost of gas. We'll do it all professionally. This is what I looked like when I first started this in 1999, okay? I worked in the movie business. I wrote for CheechandChong.com for 5 years as a correspondent. I started on Nash Bridges' TV show. I did several movies with stars that you all know. This is my wife, Ann White. She's retired from the Bank of the West. My friend Jurgen Klochak, who rents equipment. As to Valkyrie, Indiana Jones, and the Temple of Doom, we will ask him to use that same bike that Sean Connery, he owns it, that Sean Connery and Harrison Ford rode in on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He owns that bike. We're going to use that same bike. We'll shoot it right here. But for the whole point, I love this town. It's been just a blessing for me for a half a century. It's the best town this side of the Statue of Liberty. And I've traveled all over the United States and gone to little towns. But the bottom line is I want to give this city money. I can't feed the whole United States, but I can help this town. And this is the town I enjoyed. I've seen people born here. I've watched people die here. Nobody knows me because we're really quiet. I've been here for the 3rd of July, Christmas, New Year's. I love it. This is the best town and everybody should see it. So I need to have a town meeting. The whole point is I'm hurt really bad now and I'm going paralyzed. I've lost about 36% of my arms and hands. And I want to have a town meeting and show a movie. Kim Douglas advised me to do this. I picked out a great movie called The Great American Smokeout with Dick Van Dyke, and it's about a town that pulls together. On our money, it says E pluribus unum, Latin for the many, one. That's what the United States is all about. I don't want this political. I want a whole town to work together and save themselves. Dump some money and help pay off that sewer bill that you guys have. That's huge, but for the most of it, we just want to give back to what we have taken in this town, even if it was just a glass of beer for me. But I've enjoyed it, and I really want to do something special for this town and its citizens. There's a lot of jobs in the movies. There's cleanup, there's production assistance, there's crowd control, there's security, there's people can learn this business. They can all get a paycheck. It'll be done through a payroll company. We have to have a basic, my friend works in the movie, he's a medic. So we'll have medic tents, we'll invite the fire department and everything, we'll have to pay them. But we don't want any money from the city. What I want to do is have the citizens help me to get the information out. Some people, you just mentioned, people work in Truckee, people work in Roseville, people work over here, they work with anybody in Placer County to get that word out and get the information. And we can use growers' money to fund this movie if we have to. And then they can put the money in their own bank account and not in the thing. Thank you.
Sorry, I got to cut you off.
Yeah,
you're so enthusiastic that I'm really enjoying your.
Yeah, well,
I didn't want to have to stop you.
we just want to collect something for the foundation in Tice, John.
Awesome.
If I think it'll be great for the city.
I'm sure you could talk with Wes if you have interest, if there's another council member that wants to reach out.
Wes, can you make a?
That's your name on my arm.
There you go. Nice.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, do we have any online public
I
comment?
received a public comment on Facebook. Caroline Presson wanted you guys to know that she could not hear most of the first part of the meeting. That she's only been able to understand the last two people, and she couldn't read the paperwork of whatever you voted on either. And that concludes that public comment.
Thanks. We'll try and work on the sound and getting people closer to the mics so we get a better connection there on Facebook. And hopefully we can get the agendas working off there. All right. We'll move on to item 8 if there's no other public comment. No? All right. Then council and staff reports. Marnie, you want to start us off?
Okay, Mayor, so what I have to report today is I want to kind of go back in time a little bit because the pandemic, stagnated us. So where we left off, I believe it was in 2019, Mick, I'm not sure, when you wrote the letter to for the Chinese monument to that executive board. So I met with CC Yin, and CC Yin is basically the founder of APAPA, and APAPA is an organization that goes around and does education. It's Asian Pacific Islanders American Public Affairs Association. So what they do is they go around and educate on certain topics and things like this. Well, I met with him to get his approval because there's a few of them. This is a big project with a lot of moving parts. So he's one of the people that we need to have on our team to be able to get his vote in that executive board. I'm on the board, but I'm only one. So what he suggested to me is his outreach director. So I'm wondering if we can get the outreach director to come here for a presentation and let us know what they do. And that would have to do with the kids. So educating the kids on different things, maybe they can help with doing the train safety stuff. And none of it is at charge of the city. They're actually going to help the kids to generate money to come in. So it's another one of those things. So I just wanted to bring that up because he is going to support it coming to Kovacs. The letter has been written to Stephen Lee, who's the founder of the monument. So we're waiting for his response. What, do you know when you wrote that letter? It was just because it was so long ago. It was in December, or when was it? November? Yeah. It was 2019, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it was when Joe was serving, wasn't it, Joe? Because you helped get that going forward. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring it up so that we have it back on the, you know, on the minutes. It'll show that, you know, I'm reporting in on this because we want to get the monuments secured here. Oh, that was the other thing. But should I bring that up in the good of the order? Yeah, I'll save that one for the good of the order. So this one, basically, I'm just reporting that I checked in with these two people and let's get this thing moving forward again. And that's all I got.
Actually, it was 2020. I've got the letter in front of me here. It was March 10th, 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. March 10th.
Nothing to report? Yep.
Yeah. So I'm trying to work on ideas and all on how we can improve our fire insurance for all of Colfax. So I had a long meeting with Cal Fire, going through a whole variety of items that we can look at as things to try to leverage this. But one of the other things we were looking at is the map of the location of all of the fire in Colfax to see whether or not we have good coverage for fire hydrants. So we're trying to merge this map with a satellite image of the whole area with all the homes and buildings and all that are in there. It's probably about a month or two's worth of work to pull all this together. But when we're done, we'll be able to show zones of where there's not as adequate coverage as what we'd like to see. That's the starting point. Yeah. Yeah, but I will. What's that?
We have other base layers. We got a new GIS system.
Okay, I'll talk to you about it. So because one of the things we're just trying to say is what are the things we can do? Where are the high risk zones in the city, like areas that are like canyons and stuff like that might have a higher chance of a fire? Where are areas where if we deployed more fire hydrants in those areas that we could potentially lower some of the risk? There's about 20 ideas that we've got on the page that we're looking at as part of what we can do from a fire safety standpoint. That's all.
Next job. Great.
I have a couple things, but real quick, just tacking on to what Joe was talking about. And thank you for that, Joe. I think another question that came up this week from the public that I think is probably a good one for me to bring up, especially for you, because you've been the real point person on this insurance matter, is talking to people about whether or not they're adequately insured. Because with the increasing price of lumber and the higher going rates for construction at this time, you know, your home may be insured for $300,000, but the realistic rebuild cost at this point could be 600 plus. And you don't want to find yourself in that situation after a catastrophic event. So it's definitely a painful subject, as insurance is already hard enough to find, but it's just one of those tough conversations to probably have now with your insurance companies. And I'm having to have that same conversation, you know, just bought a house in December and it's already underinsured, and, you know, it's just something to be aware of. What I had to report tonight was just touching back on the City of Colfax Subsistence Payment Program. We've tried to get the word out. I know all the council members are kind of pulling teeth to get people to come in and apply for this. And I'm, you know, if you send me an email, I will send you the link so we can at least get that initial 4 questions answered to screen out whether or not you're qualified before we put you through the whole application process. But you know, this program can provide up to 3 months of utility bills with a maximum of $5,000 in payments for sewer, propane, electric, garbage, internet, water, you know, your general utility bills directly to the utility companies. And, you know, you might not think that you qualified, but if you take a look at the tables that we have online, you know, when you're looking at your adjusted gross income from your tax returns, not your general gross wages, your adjusted gross income, you may actually qualify and not realize it. And so it's better if you live in the city limits, just take a look into the program. Let's see what we can do to try to qualify you. You know, we at this point have more money than applicants, and we fought really hard tooth and nail to get this money, and there will be a second round of funding for, potentially rent payments and mortgage payments as well. So don't let this opportunity fly by. Let's do everything we can to get as many people help as you can. And please don't come into this thinking, I don't want to take that away from someone else who needs it more. Again, we have more money than applicants at this point, and if that's really how you feel, maybe you could use that opportunity to pay it forward. There are other families who are struggling that genuinely cannot qualify for this program for one reason or another. And, if you are able to qualify and get the help that you need, you may be able to use that opportunity to help one of your neighbors. So if we can just keep that in mind. And two, another thing I wanted to bring up is if you do have a very large outstanding electric bill that's more than 90 days past due, PG&E just rolled out a new program in February that could really help with that. It's called the Arrangement Management Plan. And under the plan, if you are on the CARES program or FARA program, you can qualify for up to $8,000 in late fees and past due bills to be waived, as long as you make 12 monthly payments on time. So that can be a huge game changer. And if we can get you on more than one program to try to help you with your bills, it would be a lot better than just having all $5,000 go directly to one utility when, we could have paid the next 3 months of all your other bills and really got you ahead instead of just band-aiding an issue. So that's what I had tonight.
Is that just for the care program? What about medical? What about medical people? Is it just care or is it those medical?
You're supposed to be on care or FARA. I can verify whether medical baseline is a qualification in and of itself, but typically, a lot of times you're going to see that people on medical baseline also qualify for care and FARA.
They do.
So usually there's overlap there, and
FARA?
Those are the two different programs. Yes. So. If anyone has any questions about that, I'm more than happy to sit down with anyone and break it down and go through it and see what we can try to get you qualified for and, solve the problem, not just Band-Aid it. Did you have a question? We do have flyers for the Colfax assisted payment program. Excellent. And you do, this is the unfortunate question I've had to answer a lot. Unfortunately, you do have to live within Colfax city limits to qualify. So that has been unfortunate for some people that are just outside of the limits. But I am looking to verify what programs the county might still have open. I know that they did a couple things. And if I can find those programs are still open, then I'll just disperse that information as well. Thank you.
Trinity, your PG&E program, that is not boundary specific, correct?
No, that is not boundary specific, but it's territory wide. So again, if you do have a large balance that's 90 days past due and you've never been on this program before, which it's doubtful you have been, it only rolled out in February, let's see what we can do to try to get you caught up.
Thanks, Trinity.
Trinity? All right, I just wanted to report the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council meeting. Our next meeting will be July 22nd. It'll be here at City Council Chambers at 6 p.m. We'll also have a Zoom link available. You can get it from the RCD website under the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council. We're making great progress in building the group, getting a lot of different Firewise communities involved, and we're hoping to make a whole lot more Firewise communities in the area. RCD has a bunch of information for that, or you can also find us on Facebook, the Placer Sierra Fire Safe Council. That was all I had. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I only have one thing tonight. I want to introduce Martin Jones. He's the city's Public Works Director. He's been with us for about a month. He joins us from Davis. I think he's most excited about because he lives in Grass Valley and he was making that commute to Davis. So we were able to steal him away back over here. And I don't know, Martin, if you want to say hi or talk for just a minute, or it's okay if we don't.
Give us your first report. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't really have too much to say. I just wanted to thank Wes and obviously the council for this opportunity. Very excited. Colfax is a great small city, and so far it's been very welcoming. And we're looking forward to doing a lot of projects and improving the infrastructure as we move forward. So that's about it. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Welcome, Mark. And, all right, we had, no council business tonight, so we'll move on to go to order. Marnie?
Okay, so, let's go back to the monument. So for the good of the order and for people out there. So what CC basically said is, if the drawings that we have on file from the rest stop where it was supposed to go before all that stuff happened, there is a original plan that we have in file, but how they were going to have it. So I need to reach out for an artist that could do a drawing of over there where the pool are. I spoke to Sven Miller, and that's where he said that. So basically, let me back up a little bit again. Kovacs Historic Society is going to bring this into their area, and then moving forward like 10, 20 years down the road, that is the entity that will take care of this statue. So we already have that taken care of. So that's why I said. So what he said is, bring it up at the meeting. Maybe there's somebody there that can do a drawing. So we can get like a drawing of however.
Conceptual drawing?
Yes. We can get that done. So I just want to throw that the order of like an outreach. If anybody wants to champion that, that would be great. That would be the only thing really that would be.
Good morning, David. Yeah, regarding the July 3rd event in Colfax, I just want to say that it was good seeing people back together and just out, and the community just bonding and just getting together. It was just cool to see that. So that's what I have to report.
Nothing? Ready?
Yeah, on that same note about seeing the community really get out there, you know, a lot of our neighbor communities have events that they hold throughout the summer. You know, Grass Valley and Nevada City do something on Wednesday nights where they shut down the street and, you know, they bring in different vendors. And I think I'd be really interested in trying to spearhead something here in Colfax, obviously not for Wednesday nights because our neighbors are doing it, but maybe Friday nights, where if we could shut down at least the south part of Main Street, bring in food trucks, maybe work with some nonprofits to help get their assistance with getting it going. I think it could be a lot of fun and just, you know, give us something to put us on the map and, you know, possibly attract more businesses to Main Street by increasing the foot traffic. So if that's something that, you know, council would be supportive of us considering shutting down the street, you know, once a week through a specific period of time throughout the year, wouldn't be year long. But I think summer is a good span. Anyone has any thoughts?
Santa Rosa does that, only they combine it with their farmers markets. So
Mhm.
it's many different people. Like 3 blocks long.
And I would love to join up with the Sierra Vista Community Center because they have a farmer's market on Wednesdays throughout the summer. And that was kind of the thought, was if we can get the nonprofits that are already doing their own things, maybe to all come together, it could be mutually beneficial for everybody, because I know that parking lot gets really hot in the afternoon. There's not a lot of shade cover, but South Main Street gets a lot of shade cover. And, you know, maybe that partnership could work out really well for them and their event as well. I don't know who's our organizer of the Foxy.
So the city sponsors it, and Foxy is the one that runs it, and obviously 2020 put a damper in that, and we can check with her, see if she's willing to pick that back up, and that could be a part of what you're talking.
Because what I'd like to see is take these splintered small events, turn it into something that's bigger, consistent. People have the expectation that if I go to Colfax on Friday nights, I'm going to be entertained. I'm going to have fun. There's going to be food trucks, and the food trucks, that's specifically why I'm bringing it up with council, because currently as it stands, food trucks are not able to just come in, park their car and do business on Main Street. There's insurance concerns and things like that. So by doing this as a sanctioned event that the city helps sponsor and we help coordinate, we can make that possible and safe for pedestrians, so.
And have music venues?
I think it's gonna need to be a joint effort. It's not gonna happen overnight, but it could be a lot of fun if we could make it happen.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trini, great idea. I just want to say thanks to Andrew Harrison and the Chamber and the Green Machine for the great 3rd July event. Thanks to Placer County Sheriffs and CAL FIRE, Placer County Fire for the support. Everything went off great, and I hope we can have just as good an event next year, if not better. And that was all I had. If there's no other comments or questions from the public or online, all right, and we're ready to adjourn. Meeting adjourned. And
Thank you.
7-11.